Have you ever found yourself in a heated argument, feeling like you're on the verge of exploding? We've all been there, whether it's a disagreement at work, a clash with a loved one, or a fiery debate online. But what if I told you there's a way to navigate conflict without resorting to fists, figuratively or literally? The ancient Stoics, masters of emotional control and reason, offer incredible strategies for facing adversities with grace and composure. In this video, you'll discover 13 Stoic-inspired techniques for tackling conflict head-on, drawn from the wisdom of great thinkers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Trust me, these methods may require more patience and effort than throwing punches, but the rewards, inner peace, long-lasting solutions, and potentially transformed relationships are well worth it. So, are you ready to learn how to navigate conflict like a true Stoic? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay updated on all our videos that explore facing life's challenges with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Remember, your greatest victory lies not in external battles, but in mastering your mind and heart. Let's dive into the first strategy: delve into the depths. Number 1, delve into the depths of your adversary. You know, the first step to defeating your enemy without fighting them is to truly understand them. Most people, when they're faced with an adversary, react instinctively, often with anger, frustration, or even a desire for revenge. But what if I told you that the most powerful thing you can do is to pause and study your enemy? This idea isn't just about gathering information to use against them. It's about seeing the world through their eyes. When you understand why they do what they do, their power over you starts to diminish. Let's think about a real-life situation. Imagine you have a coworker who constantly tries to make you look bad in front of your boss. Every meeting, they find a way to undermine your ideas, criticize your work, or subtly imply that you're not as capable as you truly are. Your natural reaction might be to get defensive, or to try and one-up them in return. But if you take a step back and start to delve into why they behave this way, you might discover something crucial. Maybe they're insecure about their own position, fearing that your success is a threat to them. Or perhaps they're dealing with pressure from higher-ups and see you as an easy target to divert attention from their own shortcomings. By understanding their motivations, you can approach the situation with empathy and strategy rather than emotion. When you respond with empathy, you strip them of their power. They expect you to fight back, to react with anger, or to stoop to their level, but instead, you've become an enigma to them. They can't predict your next move because you're not playing their game. In fact, you're playing a much deeper game, one that's built on insight and understanding. Now let's dive deeper into this. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often emphasized that people are rarely malicious without reason. Everyone has a backstory, a set of experiences, and personal struggles that shape how they act. So when someone comes at you aggressively, instead of taking it personally, see it as an opportunity to learn. What can their behavior teach you about their fears, their insecurities, or their desires? There's a saying, hurt people hurt people. Often, those who lash out or try to tear others down are struggling with their own inner battles. By delving into their depths, you not only gain insight into their vulnerabilities, but also begin to free yourself from the emotional grip they have over you. You start to realize that their actions are more about them than they are about you. Let me give you another example. Suppose you're dealing with a family member who always seems to criticize everything you do. No matter how hard you try, it's never good enough for them. It's easy to feel attacked, to feel like you're constantly on the defensive. But what if you took a moment to consider their past? Maybe they grew up in an environment where criticism was the only way they received attention. Perhaps they were taught that being hard on others was a form of love or concern. When you understand this, their criticism loses its sting. You see that it's not about you, it's about their own unresolved issues. And suddenly, you're no longer the victim in this scenario, you're the observer. By delving into the depths of your adversary, you also begin to gain something incredibly valuable: compassion. Now I know what you're thinking. Why should I have compassion for someone who's making my life difficult? But here's the secret. Compassion isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about liberating yourself. When you approach your enemy with compassion, you're no longer tied to their actions. You're no longer reacting to their every move. You're in control, and that's a powerful position to be in. Imagine you're at work, and that same colleague who's been trying to undermine you finally snaps. They lash out in a meeting, making some harsh, unprofessional remark about you. Instead of responding with anger, you calmly say, "It seems like you're really frustrated. Is there something you'd like to discuss?" That one moment of empathy, that willingness to see them as more than just an adversary, can completely disarm them. They're expecting a fight, but you've given them understanding instead. This doesn't mean you're condoning their behavior. It means you've taken away their power to control your emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that we should be tolerant with others and strict with ourselves. This means we should strive to understand others while holding ourselves to a higher standard of behavior. By delving into the depths of your adversary, you're not just learning about them, you're also learning about yourself. You're practicing patience, empathy, and wisdom. And these qualities are far more powerful than any form of retaliation. In essence, when you truly understand your enemy, you realize that they're not as formidable as they seem. Their actions, their words, their attempts to bring you down, none of it matters because you see through them. You've stripped away the layers of their hostility and revealed the insecurities that lie beneath. And once you see that, you've already won. Not by overpowering them, but by rising above the need to fight at all. So the next time you're faced with someone who seems determined to be your enemy, remember this. Delve into their depths. Seek to understand, not to react. Because when you do, you'll discover that the greatest power lies not in defeating them, but in transcending the need to fight altogether. Number 2, choose your battles wisely. One of the biggest traps we fall into when dealing with adversaries is feeling like we need to engage with every challenge thrown our way. It's natural to want to defend ourselves or prove a point, but not every battle is worth fighting. One of the core teachings of Stoicism, especially from Marcus Aurelius, is to focus on what truly matters and let go of the rest. Imagine a colleague who constantly interrupts you during meetings. Your first instinct might be to snap back or try to forcefully make your point heard. But what if you took a moment to evaluate whether this battle is worth your energy? Is it crucial to your happiness, career, or personal growth? More often than not, the answer is no. By choosing to let certain things slide, you're not admitting defeat. You're demonstrating strength and self-control, showing that you have the wisdom to focus on what deserves your attention. When you don't react to every provocation, you become unshakable. Your adversary may start to feel powerless because they can't drag you into their negativity. There's a saying, if you stop to throw stones at every dog that barks, you'll never reach your destination. This means that engaging in every conflict delays your progress toward more important goals. Your enemies want you to be distracted and caught up in meaningless arguments. By choosing to walk away, you retain your energy and continue toward your objectives without unnecessary detours. Consider another example. A neighbor who parks in front of your driveway. You could argue with them every time, letting the frustration consume you. Or you could step back and think, is this worth the emotional turmoil? Perhaps a more effective solution, such as having a calm conversation or parking elsewhere, allows you to avoid constant conflict and maintain your peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the transient nature of life. Many things we get worked up about are insignificant in the grand scheme. 5 years from now, will it matter that your colleague interrupted you or that your neighbor was inconsiderate? Probably not. But the peace you cultivate by not engaging in every conflict will have a lasting impact on your well-being. Choosing your battles doesn't mean avoiding all confrontation. It means being smart about where you direct your energy. When your values or well-being are genuinely threatened, stand up for yourself. But knowing when to engage and when to let go is the true essence of wisdom and strength. Successful people don't respond to every piece of criticism or negativity. They've learned that their time and energy are valuable, and they don't waste them on insignificant battles. Instead, they focus on their goals and what truly matters. The next time someone tries to drag you into a conflict, pause and ask, is this battle worth fighting? Will engaging in this add value to my life? Often you'll find it's more important to maintain your peace. By choosing your battles wisely, you avoid unnecessary conflict and rise above it, living a life that's focused and intentional. Number 3. Speak with calm and clarity. When facing an adversary, it's tempting to raise your voice or become aggressive to assert dominance. However, there's immense power in staying calm and clear. Speaking with calmness shows that you are in control of yourself, regardless of the situation. It's a tactic that immediately disarms others because they expect and often want an emotional reaction. When you don't give them that, it throws them off balance and forces them to listen. Consider a time when someone yelled at you. How did you feel? Most likely, you either became defensive or shut down entirely. Now imagine if that person had spoken calmly and clearly instead, explaining their point of view without anger. You'd have been more inclined to understand their perspective, wouldn't you? That's the impact calmness has. It opens the door for genuine communication and understanding, even in tense situations. By maintaining a composed demeanor, you signal that you're not threatened or easily swayed by the emotions of others. This approach doesn't mean being passive or weak. Instead, it's about being assertive without being aggressive. When you speak calmly, your words carry more weight because people aren't distracted by emotional outbursts. They focus on what you're saying, not how you're saying it. Imagine you're in a heated argument with a colleague who's trying to undermine you. Instead of matching their aggression, you respond in a measured tone. I hear your concerns, but here's my perspective. By doing this, you control the conversation, demonstrating that you won't be pulled into their emotional chaos. This approach often compels others to lower their defenses, making it easier to find a resolution. Speaking with calm and clarity also allows you to articulate your thoughts more effectively. When emotions run high, people tend to say things they don't mean or struggle to express themselves coherently. Remaining calm enables you to choose your words carefully, ensuring your message is clear and impactful. This makes it harder for your adversary to twist your words or use them against you. Furthermore, calm communication sets a powerful example for others. It encourages them to respond similarly, which can transform a potentially hostile situation into a productive one. It's not about proving you're right. It's about fostering mutual respect and understanding, which is often the most effective way to win a conflict without fighting. Remember, power doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one who speaks softly, with confidence and clarity. When you master this, you gain the upper hand because you're no longer reacting to others. You're guiding the interaction in a way that serves your interests. Number 4, seek the shared path. In any conflict, there's usually a middle ground where both parties can find commonality. Instead of focusing on what separates you from your adversary, look for what unites you. This is a powerful way to defeat them without fighting, because it shifts the dynamic from adversarial to collaborative. When you show that you're willing to work together, even in the face of disagreement, it becomes much harder for the other person to see you as an enemy. Let's say you're negotiating with a difficult client who insists on unreasonable demands. Instead of pushing back aggressively, you could say, I understand your concerns, and I want to make sure we reach a solution that works for both of us. By acknowledging their needs and expressing your willingness to find a shared path, you take the wind out of their sails. They no longer see you as an obstacle, but as someone willing to work toward a resolution. This approach is rooted in empathy. When you take the time to understand where the other person is coming from, you often find that their motivations aren't all that different from your own. Perhaps they're driven by fear, insecurity, or a desire to be heard, emotions that we all experience. Recognizing this common humanity helps to de-escalate tension and opens the door to more productive communication. Finding common ground doesn't mean you have to compromise your values or give in. It means you're choosing to focus on what you share rather than what divides you. This tactic is particularly effective because it's disarming. Most people enter conflicts expecting resistance, but when you offer understanding and cooperation instead, it can be incredibly powerful. It shifts the narrative from us versus them to we, which is far more difficult for your adversary to fight against. Even in situations where a resolution seems impossible, seeking the shared path demonstrates maturity and strength. It shows that you're more interested in progress than proving a point, which often leads to your adversary respecting you, even if they don't openly admit it. And in many cases, that respect is more valuable than any short-term victory. By choosing to seek common ground, you neutralize hostility and turn potential enemies into allies. It's a subtle but incredibly effective way to destroy your enemy, not by defeating them, but by transforming the relationship into something positive and mutually beneficial. Number 5. Appeal to their inner values. When dealing with an adversary, one powerful way to diffuse tension is to appeal to their inner values. Often people act out of character when they feel threatened, misunderstood, or insecure. By reminding them of their core values, those principles they hold dear, you can encourage them to act more in line with their true selves, and in doing so, the conflict often resolves itself. Imagine a situation where a coworker is being unreasonable about a shared project. Instead of arguing, you might say, "I know you're someone who values teamwork and integrity, and I respect that about you. I believe we can find a way to work together effectively." By acknowledging their values, you subtly encourage them to align their behavior with those ideals. This makes it harder for them to continue acting irrationally because they now have a reminder of who they aspire to be. Appealing to someone's values isn't about manipulation. It's about creating an opportunity for them to reconnect with their best self. It's a way of saying, "I see the good in you," which often disarms hostility and opens the door to genuine dialogue. When people feel that their values are recognized and respected, they're more likely to drop their defenses and listen. Think about a time when you were angry or defensive, but someone reminded you of your values. Maybe a friend said, "You're not the kind of person who holds grudges." That reminder likely helped you step back, reassess your actions, and choose a more positive response. This technique works similarly with adversaries. By helping them see themselves in a better light, you create a pathway for them to act with more empathy, kindness, or fairness. Moreover, this approach shows that you're paying attention, that you see them as more than just an opponent. It humanizes the conflict and shifts the dynamic from me versus you to we. When someone feels seen and understood, it's much harder for them to maintain hostility. This doesn't mean they'll suddenly become your best friend, but it does mean they'll be less inclined to continue seeing you as an enemy. By appealing to their inner values, you're not only neutralizing the conflict but also allowing them to save face. They're more likely to back down or adjust their behavior because you've given them an honorable way out. This is an incredibly effective way to destroy your enemy without a fight. By appealing to their humanity and offering them a path to act with dignity. Number 6. Using humor wisely in conflict resolution. Humor is one of the most underrated tools in diffusing tension and disarming adversaries. When used wisely, humor can cut through anger, frustration, and hostility, making it difficult for the other person to maintain their aggression. It's a reminder that not everything has to be taken so seriously, and that there's a lighter side to every situation. Imagine being in an argument with a friend, and they're getting increasingly heated. Instead of responding with equal intensity, you say something like, "Wow, I didn't realize we were auditioning for a drama show today." This unexpected injection of humor can break the tension, prompting a laugh or at least a smile, and suddenly, the mood shifts. It's hard to stay angry when you're laughing, and in that moment, you've diffused the conflict without a fight. Humor works because it shifts the emotional energy of a situation. When tensions are high, people are stuck in a fight-or-flight response, which makes it hard to think clearly or see the bigger picture. A well-placed joke disrupts that cycle, giving everyone a chance to breathe, reset, and approach the issue from a calmer perspective. However, it's important to be cautious with humor. It should never be at the expense of the other person or make them feel belittled. The goal is to lighten the mood, not to mock or ridicule. For example, if a colleague is upset about a project delay saying, Guess the universe decided we needed more time to make it perfect, huh? Is a lighthearted way to acknowledge the situation without minimizing their concerns. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics understood that laughter can be a form of wisdom. It's an acknowledgement that, in the grand scheme of things, most problems aren't as catastrophic as they seem. By introducing humor, you remind both yourself and your adversary of this truth. It's a way of saying, we're all human, and we can navigate this with a bit of lightness. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics understood that laughter can be a form of wisdom. It's an acknowledgement that, in the grand scheme of things, most problems aren't as catastrophic as they seem. By introducing humor, you remind both yourself and your adversary of this truth. It's a way of saying we're all human, and we can navigate this with a bit of lightness. Humor also shows confidence. When you can laugh in the face of conflict, it demonstrates that you're not easily rattled. This makes it harder for your adversary to maintain their aggressive stance because they realize they can't shake you. It's a subtle but powerful way to gain the upper hand without resorting to aggression or confrontation. In summary, using humor wisely isn't about making light of serious issues, but about showing that you're in control of your emotions and the situation. It's a way to diffuse tension, connect with others, and transform a potential enemy into a neutral or even positive force. And in that sense, it's a highly effective way to destroy your enemy without a fight. Number 7. Offer empathy. Empathy is one of the most powerful tools in any conflict resolution toolkit. When faced with an adversary, stepping into their shoes and genuinely understanding their feelings can shift the dynamics significantly. By offering empathy, you're not only showing compassion but also demonstrating that you value their perspective, which can disarm hostility and foster more productive dialogue. Imagine a situation where a friend is upset because they feel overlooked in a group project. Instead of jumping to defend your position or dismissing their feelings, try saying, "I can see why you'd feel that way. It must be frustrating to feel like your contributions aren't being recognized." This response validates their emotions and shows that you care about their experience. By acknowledging their feelings, you're opening the door to a more constructive conversation. When you approach conflicts with empathy, you create an atmosphere of understanding. This doesn't mean you have to agree with their viewpoint or accept blame, but it does mean you recognize their humanity. People often lash out when they feel unheard or invalidated, and by offering empathy, you're addressing that underlying need. This can lead to a significant reduction in tension. Consider how often you felt misunderstood in a disagreement. When someone took the time to really listen and acknowledge your feelings, it likely changed your perception of the conflict and the person involved. This is the transformative power of empathy. It can turn a heated argument into a meaningful exchange of ideas and emotions, paving the way for resolution. Empathy also helps you better understand the motivations behind your adversary's actions. Maybe their aggressive behavior stems from fear, insecurity, or past experiences. When you recognize this, it becomes easier to respond with patience rather than hostility. For instance, if a colleague is constantly undermining your work, instead of reacting defensively, you might consider, maybe they're feeling insecure about their own contributions. This understanding allows you to approach the situation more strategically, focusing on collaboration rather than conflict. Furthermore, demonstrating empathy can enhance your credibility. When people see you genuinely care about their feelings and experiences, they're more likely to reciprocate. This mutual respect creates an environment where collaboration is possible, even with someone who was once seen as an enemy. As Marcus Aurelius suggested, understanding others can lead to more harmonious relationships, allowing you to coexist peacefully, even amidst disagreements. Offering empathy also encourages a culture of vulnerability. When you express understanding and compassion, it often encourages others to do the same. This mutual vulnerability creates a safer space for open dialogue, where both parties can share their thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. It fosters a collaborative spirit that can resolve conflicts more effectively than aggression ever could. In summary, empathy is a powerful strategy for resolving conflicts without fighting. By recognizing and validating the feelings of others, you not only disarm potential aggression, but also foster a deeper understanding. This approach opens the door to constructive dialogue and cooperation, transforming adversaries into allies. Number 8. Embrace the art of compromise. Compromise is often seen as a sign of weakness, but in reality, it's a profound strength that can lead to mutual benefit and understanding. In any conflict, there are usually multiple perspectives and needs at play. By embracing the art of compromise, you can navigate these complexities effectively, ensuring that both parties feel heard and valued. Let's consider a scenario where two friends are deciding on a vacation destination. One wants a beach holiday, while the other prefers a mountain retreat. Instead of arguing about which option is better, they might explore a compromise, a coastal city that offers both beach access and nearby mountains for hiking. This solution respects both preferences and fosters a sense of collaboration rather than division. Compromise doesn't mean giving up your principles or settling for something you don't want. Instead, it involves finding a middle ground where both parties can feel satisfied. In a professional setting, for example, if a team is split on a project direction, one side might value creativity while the other prioritizes practicality. By merging these views, perhaps creating a creative campaign that also addresses practical implementation, both perspectives are honored, leading to a stronger outcome. One of the challenges in compromise is the fear of losing out. It's natural to worry that if you give in too much, you'll end up with less than what you want. However, the key to effective compromise lies in open communication. By discussing your needs and priorities honestly, you can often find solutions that don't require either party to feel like they're losing out. Consider how you can frame compromises positively. Instead of viewing them as concessions, see them as opportunities for collaboration. When you approach a negotiation with a mindset of cooperation rather than competition, you're more likely to reach a resolution that benefits everyone involved. For instance, in a workplace conflict, if you frame your suggestions as ways to enhance team dynamics rather than strict demands, you're more likely to garner support from colleagues. Moreover, compromise fosters goodwill. When both parties feel like they've contributed to the solution, it builds trust and strengthens relationships. This trust can lead to more productive interactions in the future, making it easier to navigate potential conflicts before they escalate. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of community and cooperation, which can flourish through a spirit of compromise. In the long run, embracing compromise doesn't just resolve the immediate conflict. It sets a precedent for how you engage with others moving forward. When people see that you're willing to find solutions that benefit everyone, they'll be more inclined to reciprocate. This creates a culture of collaboration, where conflicts are approached with an understanding that resolution is possible without fighting. In essence, compromise is a powerful strategy to defeat your adversaries. By finding middle ground, you transform conflict into collaboration, building relationships rather than breaking them. This approach leads to more sustainable resolutions, ensuring that both parties walk away feeling respected and valued. Number 9. Seek external aid without shame. In the realm of conflict resolution, seeking external aid can sometimes feel like admitting defeat. However, this perspective is misguided. Enlisting the help of a neutral third party can often lead to more effective solutions than trying to resolve a conflict in isolation. It's not a sign of weakness, but rather a strategy to navigate complex situations with greater clarity and understanding. Imagine a workplace disagreement where two team members can't seem to find common ground. Instead of allowing the conflict to fester, they might invite a manager or HR representative to facilitate a discussion. This external aid provides a fresh perspective and creates a neutral space where both parties can express their concerns without fear of escalation. The facilitator can help clarify misunderstandings, ensuring that everyone feels heard. Seeking help doesn't just apply to workplace situations. In personal relationships, friends or family members can act as mediators, providing insights that those involved in the conflict may not see. For instance, if you and a friend are arguing about a shared responsibility, asking another mutual friend to join the conversation can help lighten the tension and offer new viewpoints. This external presence can shift the focus from blame to resolution. It's essential to approach this process with openness. When seeking external aid, you're acknowledging that the conflict is complex and that resolving it is important to you. This willingness to accept help demonstrates humility and a commitment to finding a solution rather than perpetuating division. It shows that you value the relationship enough to seek guidance rather than letting the issue escalate. Moreover, external aid can help prevent conflicts from becoming personal. When emotions run high, it's easy for disagreements to turn into personal attacks. A neutral third party can help steer the conversation back to the issues at hand, reducing the likelihood of hurt feelings. This is particularly important in long-standing relationships where emotions may be deeply intertwined. The beauty of seeking external aid lies in the diverse perspectives it brings to the table. Different people bring different experiences, insights, and solutions. For example, a mentor or colleague may have faced a similar situation and can offer strategies that worked for them. By incorporating these perspectives, you're more likely to find a resolution that works for everyone involved. In summary, seeking external aid is a powerful way to resolve conflicts without fighting. It allows for a more objective perspective and can facilitate clearer communication. Rather than viewing this approach as a weakness, see it as a tool for fostering understanding and cooperation. When you embrace this strategy, you demonstrate a commitment to resolution and the health of your relationships. Number 10. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is often seen as a lofty ideal, but it's a practical strategy for dismantling conflict and moving forward. When we hold on to resentment or anger towards someone, we create a cycle of negativity that affects our well-being and relationships. By choosing to forgive, we liberate ourselves from this emotional burden, allowing space for healing and growth. Imagine you've been wronged by a colleague who took credit for your work. Initially, it's easy to feel anger and resentment, focusing on how unjust the situation is. However, if you hold on to that anger, it only harms you in the long run. Instead, consider how forgiveness can serve as a pathway to your freedom. Forgiving doesn't mean condoning the behavior or forgetting what happened. It means letting go of the emotional weight that the incident carries. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of negative feelings that can cloud your judgment and happiness. Forgiveness can also change the dynamics of your relationship with the person who wronged you. By letting go of grudges, you open the door for more constructive interactions in the future. For example, after forgiving your colleague, you might find it easier to collaborate with them on future projects. This shift in mindset can transform a once contentious relationship into a more cooperative one. It's important to understand that forgiveness is a process, not a one-time event. It may take time to truly let go of the feelings associated with the wrongdoing. However, taking small steps towards forgiveness can gradually lighten the emotional load. You might start by recognizing the emotions you feel and acknowledging their impact on your life. Writing down your feelings can be a helpful exercise. It allows you to articulate your thoughts and gain clarity. In addition to journaling, practicing empathy towards the person who hurt you can facilitate forgiveness. Try to understand their perspective. Maybe they were under immense pressure, or perhaps they didn't realize the impact of their actions. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help you see them as a flawed human being rather than a one-dimensional villain. This shift in perspective can make it easier to release the resentment you feel. Forgiveness is also tied to personal growth. When you choose to forgive, you demonstrate emotional resilience and a commitment to your well-being. It's an acknowledgement that you refuse to be defined by the wrongs done to you. This act of reclaiming your power can foster a sense of liberation, allowing you to focus on the positive aspects of your life rather than dwelling on past grievances. Moreover, forgiving others can inspire them to reflect on their actions. When they see you moving forward without the weight of anger, it may prompt them to reconsider their behavior and strive to improve. In this way, forgiveness has the potential to create a ripple effect, encouraging a culture of understanding and compassion. In conclusion, forgiveness is a powerful strategy for dismantling conflicts without fighting. By letting go of resentment and anger, you not only free yourself, but also create opportunities for healing and growth in your relationships. While the journey to forgiveness may take time and effort, it ultimately leads to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Number 11. Growth from ashes of conflict. Every conflict presents an opportunity for growth, both personally and relationally. Rather than viewing disagreements as purely negative experiences, consider them as valuable lessons that can lead to greater understanding and development. By shifting your perspective to see conflicts as growth opportunities, you cultivate resilience and wisdom. Think about a time when you faced a significant conflict in your life, perhaps a falling out with a close friend. Initially, it may have felt devastating, but looking back, you might recognize how that experience taught you valuable lessons about communication, boundaries, and even forgiveness. Conflicts force us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our relationships, ultimately leading to deeper insights. Embracing growth from conflict requires a mindset shift. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" try reframing the question to, "What can I learn from this experience?" This shift encourages a proactive approach to conflict resolution. For example, if you find yourself frequently arguing with a colleague, instead of blaming them, reflect on your communication style. Are there patterns in how you engage in conflict that could be improved? This self-reflection can lead to more constructive interactions in the future. Additionally, conflicts often reveal underlying issues that may not have been addressed. They serve as catalysts for necessary conversations. For instance, if a disagreement arises in a team setting, it might highlight communication gaps or differing priorities among team members. By addressing these issues, the team can work towards solutions that enhance collaboration and effectiveness. In this way, conflict becomes a vehicle for improvement rather than a roadblock. It's also essential to remember that growth from conflict isn't always a straightforward process. It often requires patience and introspection. Sometimes it may feel tempting to dwell on the negative aspects of a situation, but doing so can hinder your ability to move forward. Instead, actively seek ways to turn your experiences into learning opportunities. This might involve discussing the conflict with trusted friends or mentors, seeking their perspectives on what could have been handled differently. Moreover, embracing conflict as a growth opportunity can strengthen your relationships. When you and others involved in a disagreement work together to find solutions, it builds trust and camaraderie. You create a shared understanding that conflicts are a natural part of relationships, and navigating them together can deepen your connections. This collaboration fosters a sense of teamwork that can enhance both personal and professional dynamics. Additionally, remember that growth often comes from discomfort. While conflicts can be challenging, they push us out of our comfort zones and encourage us to adapt and evolve. This adaptability is a valuable skill that can serve you well in various aspects of life. By recognizing that discomfort can lead to growth, you'll approach conflicts with a more positive mindset, eager to learn rather than resist. In summary, conflicts provide a unique opportunity for growth and self-discovery. By shifting your perspective to see them as valuable learning experiences, you cultivate resilience and wisdom. Embracing growth from conflict not only enhances your personal development, but also strengthens your relationships, paving the way for deeper understanding and collaboration. Number 12. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential for maintaining healthy relationships and protecting your emotional well-being. In any conflict, it's crucial to establish clear limits that define what you will and will not accept. By doing so, you create a framework that fosters respect and understanding, allowing you to engage more constructively with others. Consider a scenario where a friend often cancels plans at the last minute. Initially, you might feel disappointed but continue to accommodate their behavior. However, if this pattern continues, it's essential to establish boundaries. You could say, "I value our time together, but it's important for me to plan ahead. If you can't commit, I may need to find other plans." This communicates your needs while still expressing care for the relationship. Setting boundaries is not about being rigid or punitive. It's about self-respect and self-care. When you define your limits, you signal to others what behaviors are acceptable and which are not. This clarity helps prevent misunderstandings and resentment from building over time. For example, in a workplace setting, if a colleague consistently interrupts you during meetings, setting a boundary might involve calmly addressing the behavior. "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I need to finish my thoughts before we engage in discussion." Moreover, boundaries are essential for emotional safety. Conflicts often arise when one party feels disrespected or unheard. By establishing boundaries, you create an environment where everyone involved understands each other's needs and limitations. This mutual respect can significantly reduce tension and hostility, making it easier to resolve conflicts peacefully. It's also important to remember that setting boundaries requires self-awareness. Before you can communicate your limits to others, you must understand your own needs and feelings. Take time to reflect on what behaviors make you uncomfortable or stressed. By identifying these triggers, you'll be better equipped to articulate your boundaries to others. Setting boundaries is not a one-time event. It requires ongoing communication and reinforcement. As relationships evolve, so too may your boundaries. Regularly check in with yourself and assess whether your limits still align with your needs. If a situation arises that challenges your boundaries, address it promptly. This proactive approach fosters a culture of open communication and reinforces the importance of respect in your relationships. Additionally, boundaries can help you avoid unnecessary conflicts. When you clearly communicate your limits, you minimize the chances of misunderstandings or misinterpretations. For instance, if you've established that you're unavailable for work-related calls after a certain hour, you reduce the likelihood of your colleagues reaching out during your personal time. This not only protects your well-being, but also sets expectations for others. In conclusion, setting boundaries is a crucial strategy for navigating conflicts without fighting. By defining your limits, you create a framework for mutual respect and understanding. Establishing and communicating boundaries empowers you to protect your emotional well-being while fostering healthier relationships. Number 13. Remember, you control your reactions. In the heat of a conflict, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and reactive. However, one of the most empowering principles of Stoicism is the understanding that while you cannot control external events, you can control your reactions to them. This mindset shifts the focus from the actions of others to your own responses, enabling you to navigate conflicts with grace and resilience. Imagine you're in a heated discussion with a family member about a sensitive topic. They may say things that trigger strong emotions within you. However, by recognizing that you have the power to choose your response, you can take a step back and consider your options. Instead of reacting impulsively with anger or frustration, you might choose to respond calmly, expressing your feelings without escalating the situation. This conscious choice not only diffuses tension, but also demonstrates maturity and self-control. Practicing this principle requires mindfulness and self-awareness. When emotions run high, take a moment to pause and breathe before responding. This brief reflection allows you to assess the situation more objectively, considering how your words and actions might impact the outcome. It's an opportunity to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively, paving the way for more constructive dialogue. Additionally, remind yourself of the Stoic understanding that external events are beyond your control. You cannot dictate how others behave or what they say, but you can control how you interpret and respond to their actions. For instance, if someone criticizes you harshly, instead of internalizing their words and feeling hurt, you can choose to see their criticism as an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself if there's any truth to their feedback and how you might use it to improve. This shift in perspective empowers you to take charge of your emotional responses. Moreover, recognizing your control over your reactions fosters resilience. Conflicts can be challenging, but when you approach them with a mindset of self-control, you become more adaptable to different outcomes. You can choose to remain calm even in difficult situations, which helps maintain your emotional stability. This resilience not only benefits you personally, but also influences those around you. Your composed demeanor can inspire others to respond more thoughtfully as well. It's essential to cultivate this mindset consistently. practice self-reflection after conflicts to assess your reactions. Consider what worked well and what you might do differently next time. This ongoing process of learning and growing enhances your ability to respond mindfully in future conflicts. In conclusion, remembering that you control your reactions is a powerful strategy for navigating conflicts without fighting. By focusing on your responses and practicing self-awareness, you can engage in more constructive dialogue, foster resilience, and ultimately cultivate healthier relationships.